A fantasy adventure where you become a valiant knight on a quest to rescue the fair princess from the clutches of an evil dragon.
What you're seeing is not the latest animated film coming soon to a theater near you. This is another animator's idea of what the cartoon of the future will look like and be used for. It's known as participatory video entertainment. And if you've ever played video games at arcades, you know what that means. But it's a remarkably beautiful video game called Dragon's Lair, and it's the creation of Don Bluth. It's the first arcade game to successfully combine a classical style of animation with computer technology.
Lead on, adventurer. Your quest awaits.
Both Disney's TRON, which is computer-generated, and Don Bluth's Dragon Lair, which still incorporates the animator's own hand in the actual drawings, are examples of state-of-the-art in cartoon. And today we're going to talk about what's current in the cartoon field, as well as what the future has in store. The animation director of Dragon's Lair, Don Bluth, is with me in the studio, and I'm thrilled to meet him because I just love cartoons all to pieces.
It's a pleasure to be here, Ann.
It's nice to have you here. And if you thought that there was a little touch of Disney in some of the drawings in Dragon's Lair, or if you ever saw Secret of Nim and thought that that was a beautifully drawn piece, you did work for Disney for 10 years, right?
Yes, I did. I worked 1 year when Walt was still there, and that was way back there in 1956. I was just out of high school.
You were a sprout.
A sprout, a real one. And then I left for so many years and traveled about and grew up a little bit, and finally went back in 1971, and a total of 10 years I was there at the Disney studio.
Well, show me what an animator does.
Well, basically an animator is an actor. We have to remember that. He's a guy who loves to act, but he's too scared to do it on a stage. And he knows how to draw, so what the guy will do is he'll try and draw it.
Ah.
On motion picture film, I brought some drawings here that maybe will help illustrate that. Motion picture film, we have a lot of little tiny frames of film that go by your eye at the rate of 24 a second. Right here is a guy who steps over an obstacle, and each one of these drawings has to be drawn, which shows him stepping over there.
Ah.
And then he gets hit by a laser gun and turns into a little kid and screams. So what you're looking at really is a lot of work. Now this little scene here will last something like 1 second on the screen, and it took us maybe 4 days to draw it. So that's a lot of time, and it winds up costing you something like about $4,000 for just that little bit that I showed you. So
which is why they're doing a lot of computer work in the Saturday morning version of cartoons. Now, those are not done this way, are they?
No. And eventually we have to get that to color. We have to color each one of these separately and shoot them each separately on a camera. And the computer-generated animation, a lot of that is done with a lot of little numbers and mathematics, which I am terrible at, so I haven't gotten very involved in that.
So you still do it by hand?
I'd still do it by hand on cells.
Now you do use a computer, though, in Dragon's Lair, but not to do the drawings.
There's a special thing that we've just come up against that's the most wonderful thing. It's called a LaserDisc. And in Dragon's Lair, we put all of the animation onto a piece of film, then later we transferred it over to a LaserDisc. The LaserDisc has a capability called random access in which it can...
There's a disc right now, by the way. It looks like a shiny record.
Isn't it? It's sort of iridescent and silver, but is basically like a phonograph record, and this laser light can pinpoint any point on that disc in an instant. That allows us to design scenes, go to a scene that shows a threat, and then immediately go to a scene that shows the threat going away and then get him saved.
Ah.
So if the player then, looking at the pictures that are on that laser disc, pushes the right button and moves the right joystick, he will cause the animation to be seen that's appropriate to his moves.
And if he pushes the wrong button,
well,
you drop him through the pit.
Right, and he loses his money, and you know, and the industry goes on.
Well, now TRON was done with a computer actually doing the drawings,
That's right?
Somebody designed what they wanted it to look like, and the computer
well,
ran with it?
It's a combination. See, I think that a computer is a tool, and no matter how you cut this thing, it's the human who is the artist, is the important part.
Nice to know.
Because you'll never replace the human part. As long as he can take that computer and make beautiful pictures, or we can take pencil and paint and make it beautiful pictures, it's really basically the same thing. It's how to use your tools. And computer-generated is a beautiful look that has its own look. Cell animation is my preference, and I simply like that, so I go at it that way. Oddly enough, we both cost the same amount. We cost about $100,000 a minute.
Oh, my word.
When you're looking at it, don't blink.
No, enjoy every precious frame.
Yeah.
What does the future hold? Is it going to be room for cell by cell in the future?
The future.
Yeah.
The future is always up for grabs, but I would say that the future of animation is very bright and never been better, because we have an enormous market right now for video arcade games, and
like
they will be done in a classical animation style. It seems that Japan has just dumped $150 million into making LaserDisc players because of Dragon's Lair.
Is that right?
And that means that probably the whole LaserDisc industry now will open up and you'll be able to have LaserDisc in your home. That means instruction, education, it means the whole thing's going to happen. So,
and all because of you, Don
couldn't
Bluth.
been better.
Thank you for being here.
Oh,
It's
and
a
my
delight
pleasure.
to meet you. And I hope you don't just do the video games, because Secret of NIMH was wonderful.
I'm working
Do
on
another
another
one like that. Good, good. Glad to hear it. Paul.